In Module 2, Lesson 11, we're going to focus on word problems with both units of weight and units of volume, so using grams, kilograms, liters, and milliliters. And this is our final lesson before we move on to the mid-module assessment and then on to some other content areas within Module 2. So it's a good chance for us to review all of the stuff that we've done in the first 10 or 11 lessons. So let's go ahead. I've put 3 sample problems together for you, and they're very similar to ones that you did on the problem set. So you'll have had some experience with similar problems, but if some of those were challenging too, if you feel like you need a review, this should be a good chance to do just that, to take a look at how to solve those sorts of problems. So the first one here says, together, an apple and a tomato weigh 216 grams. If the tomato weighs 97 grams, how much does the apple weigh? I think this is kind of an unrealistic problem because I believe that they would weigh more than this, but let's go ahead and solve it anyway. So together, they weigh 216. And if the tomato weighs 97, how much does the apple weigh? So one way to think about this, and this is probably the way that you'll see it in a problem, is you'll see a scale and it will have like the weight down here. And it will say 216. And you'll have both things on here. I'm not going to draw them in detail, but 2 things there, right? An apple and a tomato. All right, so we know that if we take the apple off, that weight goes down to 97 grams. So we need to figure out what plus 97 equals 216. So when we add the apple back on, some amount of weight adds with 97 to get up to 216. Okay, so the way we can do that is find a difference. So we have 216 grams, that's our total, minus 97 grams. So that's like saying if we took off the tomato, so we took the tomato off of here, we're going to figure out what the new weight is going to be. So if we have 6 something, can we take 7 away? No, we can't. So we need to come over here to the 1. And we need to take that 10 and redistribute it. So there's 0 tens here now. We're going to move it over with a 6. 10 plus 6 is 16. 16 minus 7. So we're going to 16 minus 7 now. And that is going to give us 9. 0 minus 9, I can't do that. So I need to go to the hundreds and say take 2 hundreds and cross it out, leave 100 here and move 10 tens to the tens place. So now I have 10 tens minus 9 tens, gives me 110. And then I have 100 minus 0 hundreds is 100. So I have 119 grams. So that would show that I would have 119 grams if I took that tomato off. And again, when I add 119 and 97, I get back to 216. So that would look like, if I drew another scale over here, I would have 119 grams for my apple, and I'd have 97 grams for my tomato, and I would end up with 216 grams altogether. And again, I think that you have a visual of this in the problem set and probably in the homework as well. So that's one part of the problem, and you'll notice in this lesson that most of the problems have a second or a third part to go along with it. They'll ask you follow-up questions. So on the second part here, it says, how much more than the tomato does the apple weigh? So what's the difference in the 2 weights? So again, we're finding difference, which means we're subtracting. So we can say the apple's weight is 119 grams minus 97 grams for the tomato. 9 minus 7 is 2. Again, this is going to be measured in grams. 1 minus 9, I can't do. If I have $1, I can't give you $9. So I need to go over here and borrow. Take from the hundreds place. So I'm going to leave 0 hundreds there and move 10 tens over to the tens place and add them to my 1 existing 10 to give me 11 tens. 11 tens minus 9 tens is 2 tens. So I end up with 22 grams. So the apple weighs 22 grams more than the tomato. So again, just be aware that these problems are going to ask you to go through multiple steps, which means every time you get an answer, you really need to understand what it is that you just answered. So that's where writing a sentence is helpful. So when you get this 119 grams over here on the left, write a sentence that says the apple weighs 119 grams. That's going to help you keep track of what it is you just answered. Then you have that weight, and when you're looking for it over here, you're going to be able to look back and say, oh, right, the apple was 119 and the tomato was 97 because it told me in the problem. So make sure that you are writing sentences with your work. That's not only a good habit to get in, but it also helps you keep track of the information. And when you have multiple steps like this, it can get a little bit confusing, especially if the numbers are sort of close together. So those sentences can help remind you of which number belongs with which part of the problem, in this case, which piece of food. Let's go on to our next problem. It says a recipe needs 275 milliliters of milk. If we need to triple the recipe, how much water will we need? And that's like a trick question, because in one part I said milk and in one part I said water. So let's change that. So let's read it one more time. A recipe needs 275 milliliters of milk. If we need to triple the recipe, how much milk will we need? Okay. So that is, I'll draw a little tape diagram just to show what we're going to do here. So we're making an extra big batch of something. And one batch calls for 275 milliliters. And then that's batch one, batch two is here in the middle, and batch three is on the far right. So all together, we need to figure out how many milliliters of milk we need. Well, technically this is 3 times 275, but since we haven't developed those skills yet, we're going to add them. So my first batch, I need 275. My second batch, I need 275. And my third batch, I need 275. Again, we can add those all up vertically. 5 plus 5 plus 5, or 3 times 5 is 15. So the 5 from the ones place goes here. The 1 from the tens place goes there. 7 plus 7 plus 7, or 3 times 7 is 21. But again, we have this 1 we have to add to that. We end up with 22. So the ones place goes there, and the tens place goes here. Or in this case, the tens place goes there, and the hundred place goes up here. And we have 2, 4, 6, 8. 825 milliliters. 825 milliliters. And again, we could write a sentence that says something like, we need 875 milliliters of milk. That's a very basic sentence, but again, it does meet the requirements for having one. All right, let's go on to the last problem we have here for our examples. It says 1 pencil weighs 7 grams. How much do 10 pencils weigh? So this is sort of a straightforward multiplication problem. We have 1 pencil weighs 7 and we have 10 of them. So I'm going to think of this like a number bond. So I don't know the total yet, but I know that each pencil weighs 7 and I have 10 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to put a 7 on the end of each of these. Now, some of you will know how to multiply this pretty quickly. We've talked about it in class. Anytime you do 7 times 10, or 10 times anything, you're going to take that 0 from the 10 and stick it on the back of whatever number is existing there. So this turns into 70. Again, we put the 7 there as that digit in tens place, and then we put that 0 right behind it. So we end up with 70. And that number bond just helps you show that work. So 70 grams. That part was straightforward, right? We've done problems like that before. All through module 1, we did stuff like that. The second part here says the box for the pencils weighs 56 grams. How much do all the pencils and the box weigh together? So this 70 grams, whoops, I should have put grams there, is just the pencils. Now we're adding the box to it. Now think back to the beginning of this module when or not even the beginning, middle, when I was weighing things for you. I was showing you on a scale, and we did something just like this. We weighed boxes and we weighed, I think it was markers, and we could add them together and get the total weight. So that's exactly what we're doing here. So we know we have 70 grams, and that's the pencils. And then we also know we have 56 grams from the problem for the box. And because we're finding the total, that means we're adding. That's for the box. So again, our unit's going to be grams down here. We already know that because these are both in grams. 0 plus 6 is 6. Oops, let's try that one more time. A little lag there with my pen. Perfect. 7 plus 5, or 70 plus 50, is 120. So we put a 1 in the hundreds place, a 2 in the tens place, and we have our 6 in the ones place. And 126 grams is what we get for an answer for the total weight of those together. So our sentence would be the box and the pencils weigh 126 grams together. All right, and that is covers 3 of the problems, or 3 similar problems to those that you had on the problem set today. Again, this is a little bit of a review. So our mid-module assessment is coming up tomorrow. You guys have worked really hard so far throughout this module, and you've shown a really good understanding of all the concepts that we've been covering. And this lesson sort of takes what we've done and offers you a chance to use those strategies with a bunch of different word problems using both weight and volume measurements. So grams, kilograms, milliliters, and liters. If you have any questions about anything that we've covered here or anything that we've covered so far in the module, please let me know.